Live from MMA Fighting Studios, this is Between the Links. And now, your host, Mike Heck.
The iconic voice of Esther Lynn welcomes you to a brand new edition of BTL, back on Thursday this week. But there's so much happening, we literally have no time to waste. So let's get right into this. Let's introduce the combatants first. He's back again. You just heard from him on our preview show moments ago. He's Mr. No Gray Area, the emperor of the hot take, the Cannonball Kid, and more. MMA Fighting's own Jed Michaud. Hello, Jed. How are we doing on this Thursday?
It's been so long since last we spoke, Mike, but now we get to talk about the real. I'm very excited about the stuff we're going to talk about. So let's get into it.
And back on the show, the birthday boy himself, the Prince of Positivity, the man, the myth, the legend, Canada's own and MMA Fighting's own, my best friend too, Alexander Kaylee. AK, welcome back to the program.
What's up, guys? Well, happy to be back. There is a crap load to talk about, and even more so after this morning. We had Mike is was a great host, sends us the show schedule like a day ahead, and we're like, oh, we're pretty loaded as it is. And then something happened this morning, and I'm like, I guess we got to talk about it. I guess we got to talk about it and react to it. People wants to know.
I'm still not sure I believe it.
Well, I mean, let's just get right into that, all right? Because this is a bit of breaking. It's very rare on this program that we get to actually talk about big news that happened on this day. But that happened today. Curveball thrown by the fine folks at Netflix. They released this promo video around 9 a.m. Eastern time, and it's announcing that Jake Paul, who just boxed up a young man by the name of Ryan Borland in a fight that no one thought would be competitive. I think Jake Paul is a minus 17,000 favorite heading into that fight. And then 3, 4, 5, I don't know, less than a week later, we find out he's boxing Mike Tyson, July 20th, AT&T Stadium, Arlington, Texas, the home of the Dallas Cowboys, and that it's happening on Netflix. So, Jed, didn't see this coming from a mile away. I probably should have at this point in 2024. But what is your reaction to this? Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson, July 20th, Cowboy Stadium, my man.
I'm glad we didn't talk about this immediately. We didn't do a reaction pod because it gave me a little more time to wrap my head around this. It's both incredibly on brand and also super unexpected and weird. By the time he steps into the ring, Mike Tyson will be 58 years old. And that feels like that's spot on for what Jake Paul's been doing. At the same time, it's still Mike Tyson. That's the best opponent he will have faced in a boxing ring, even if it is still severely favorable to Jake in many respects. But most importantly, what this is it's Jake Paul getting back to the brand. He has spent 2 fights now boxing, quote unquote, real boxers, and they're real boxers. They do paycheck boxing, but they ran right over them. They were handpicked matchups to hey, and I'm not knocking Jake Paul for doing this. Points been made by many people. That's about the level of opposition you'd expect for someone in his position. He just happens to be doing it on bigger stages because he was independently famous. So all of that's fine, but it's not why we started covering him. It's not why people tune in to watch him box boxers. They're here for spectacle. They're here for a show. They're here for something outrageous that maybe they hadn't even thought of, but now I kind of can't stop thinking about it. Mike Tyson's perfectly it. Mike Tyson, for his many personal faults and all that comes with that, has still managed to captivate the imaginations of the broader world and certainly the combat sports world, even into his 50s. People want to see Mike Tyson fight Roy Jones Jr. They want to see him fight Fedor or any of these other insane things. It still brings it out because of nostalgia or what have you. And Jake Paul is now going to capitalize on that with Dallas, Cowboy Stadium or whatever. When Cowboy Stadium came out, think about Dana saying, yeah, we're definitely going to go there. Did I miss that? Hadn't happened yet. Jake Paul's doing it. He's doing it in as big a fashion as I think he can reasonably do. And I'm interested. I can't say I'm excited because in either end of this, it's pretty awful, but I can't help but look at it like a train wreck, Mike. I am forced to stare at this and think about it a lot.
AK, interested is the word Jed kind of described. Not excited, but interested. Perhaps a sprinkle of intrigue. What was your reaction to this? We saw how a lot of the UFC fighters, past and present, other boxers have reacted to this. Mostly negative. Where are you at with Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson?
Incredibly interested. I mean, it's grotesque. It's grotesque, but much of this business is. And this to me felt like a very logical progression of where we were heading with the Jake Paul boxing storyline, with the influencer boxing, with the legends coming back for exhibition bouts. Tyson himself did it with Roy Jones Jr. Floyd Mayweather's done a bunch. He's had a whole other post like actual competitive career, just making, I don't even want to know how much money, taking exhibition bouts in Japan and Dubai, and I don't know. And he's not stopped. As far as we know, Mayweather's got 3 more exhibition bouts lined up. I have no idea. And I didn't get the sense that Tyson was done with after Roy Jones either. Like, it would have been kind of a cool, like kind of a nice send off, 2 legitimate heavyweight boxing legends, putting that bow on their career. But I remember the event doing pretty well, like as far as at least traffic wise and the buzz. So I'm like, they can't, like, I just don't think they can walk away so neatly. And sure enough, Tyson's given another go in probably the most, in the eyes of, a traditional boxing fan, probably the most reprehensible way possible. Unless they really feel like he can knock out Jake Paul, which is certainly a possibility, though I will caution people, obviously has to be an exhibition bout. And I would imagine an exhibition bout, neither guy is going to be going more than 25% trying to take the other dude's head off. I don't know. Maybe I should be more optimistic. Maybe they are going to go for the knockout, try to make a moment, but I sincerely doubt it. So you're just kind of getting the thrill, might not be the best word, but the intrigue of seeing, oh wow, this friggin' YouTuber fighting one of the boxing's greatest champions. So it's kind of a weird thing. But the last thing I want to say on that, my initial reaction is, Jed mentioned like reasons you might want to watch Tyson fight and do this, like nostalgia and what have you, and like the other reason is because we might just be insane. We're all insane. This business is insane, and we're insane for even talking about this, because it's a real thing that's happening, and the fact that we have to talk about it seriously and actually dedicate professional airtime to it is insane. This whole business is insane, and I'm going to watch the fight. I'm sure I'll probably get a kick out of the whole thing, and I really don't know what that says about me mentally.
What's your biggest takeaway from this announcement, AK? Is it Jake Paul fighting? Is it just the fight itself, or is there like something else to it? Was there, because I know for me it was like, okay, this is super weird, but it was also like, damn, Netflix is really getting after this thing. They got Raw. They're really pushing into the live sports thing. It seemed like by certain reports, like they were starting to like funnel downwards, but now they're making these huge acquisitions. They're trying different things. They have great sports docs. They're really getting into the sports and the live shows altogether. That was like my biggest takeaway is like, man, Netflix is really getting into this thing. But then like Jake Paul and Mike Tyson, and then you have all the sort of moral fiber questions about it. But what was your biggest takeaway when you found this out? Not really a reaction, but biggest like, oh shit kind of moment with this.
I don't want to hear about moral fiber or anything like that when it comes to Jake Paul or Mike Tyson. All that stuff's out the window. You got to put all that crap aside. But yeah, the fact that Netflix is making such a huge swing here is the real story. They've had some unfortunate luck with live streaming before. I think last year, one of their biggest events was supposed to be the Love is Blind finale, and it was apparently a disaster. I think it got delayed an entire day. I think they filmed it, and it was supposed to be live, and it got delayed almost like an entire day. I don't watch the show. I think I watched the first season of it. But my social media was flooded with everyone asking, where's the Love is Blind finale? And this went on for hours, just hours, people tweeting, where's the Love is Blind finale? And it was not a good look for Netflix. I think they ended up just like sort of putting it out the next day, which at that point, the damage had been done. So this is them taking another shot at it. And again, it's not just Netflix. We know a lot of streaming services. This is the next field of this particular like battle, right? It's who can get these live streaming rights. We just saw again Netflix again with the what Monday Night Raw, right? So they're all in. They're all in on it, and this kind of fits their portfolio, right? They're not strictly going after traditional sports. They're engaging, WWE, influencer boxing, exhibition bouts with guys like Mike Tyson and people like Jake Paul. So that is the huge story here. If this lands, if they stream this properly and this lands, and Netflix has been doing great lately, by the way. They bounced. I know they had a bit of a drop, but when they did their whole subscribers, they cut down on subscribers sharing their accounts thing. All the stuff went back up. They've cut a lot of costs as far as I think retaining certain shows and I think producing shows. So Netflix is trending upwards, and this could take them. I mean, they're already the top, I believe, the streaming wars still, but this could keep them up there for a long time if these kind of combat sports things land. So, and just to keep it MMA related, it wouldn't surprise me if at some point in the future, obviously UFC or some other organization tries to work out some live streaming deal with Netflix as well.
What was your biggest takeaway from the announcement, Jed? Is it Netflix taking a big swing here with entertainment and sports and live streaming, or was this more about Jake and Mike?
Yeah, Netflix is getting into live streaming. Yeah, of course. They're one of the biggest media companies in the world. Of course they're going to be. I mean, they've said it for years they're going to do it. So it's just okay, this is a step in that direction, but it was not a major takeaway to me. The major takeaway was, this is weird. I can't believe that this is the timeline we live in where this is a thing that's happening. What was it? 3 years ago at this point, 2 years ago? I'm not Jose. The time blurs to me. We were I'm not sure if this Disney kid can beat up Ben Askren in a boxing ring. And then now look where we are. It's 57-year-old Mike Tyson, but that's still Mike Tyson, man. There's still some real to that. So the biggest takeaway is primarily, holy shit, what is going on in the world that this is the timeline we live in?
Yeah. I mean, I guess a lot of people are asking, is this good or bad? People are saying Mike Tyson might get killed in there, all this stuff about the age and all of that stuff. Should it be sanctioned? Should it be exhibition? As of now, there's literally no answer.
It should
to this
not
question.
be.
Yeah, there's no answer to this question. I reached out to the commission. I was told that all the information they officially have is that the promoter has booked a fight card in that venue, in their state, on that date. They have not been provided a single fight officially on the books. So once all those fights come in, they will review them on a fight-by-fight basis, determining which fight will be sanctioned, which won't. But there's no way. There's
Texas,
no way.
dude.
It's Texas. There's no way.
It's any athletic commission would sanction it because they're all
Florida
frauds.
would sanction it. Florida would sanction it.
They're all frauds, but Texas is arguably the most fraudulent. It's for sure getting sanctioned. By no reasonable metric should it be. Yeah, it's for sure getting sanctioned.
Oh, okay.
Unless they find an actual legitimate heart condition on Tyson, they're going to run it. They shouldn't. By no means should this be allowed morally, but they're for sure going to do it.
Are you betting on that too, AK? Or are you betting this is going to be an exhibition? But I don't think. I think people are still going to watch it anyways. This passes the mom test for sure.
It's an exhibition bout. How can I don't see how this can be sanctioned as a pro bout. I mean, the difference in experience, the difference in age. I am not
the difference in experience is not nearly as bad as some of the other ones.
Yeah,
Jake's got 12 fights now.
10 against. I mean,
10 fights against a 57-year-old. That's fine.
I think they have to look at. I mean, again, just overall pro record, and the age thing matters more. Why? I just don't see why would this need to be a pro fight. I don't. That's my. I don't.
Jake Paul's not doing exhibitions. Jake Paul is he is actively his entire thing has been, I am trying to fight for a championship. I am trying to be a legitimate boxer.
No, he's also kept the door open for money fights, which I think is pretty much just what this is. I don't think.
But a money fight exhibition why would he want it to be an exhibition?
Why?
The only reason he would accept it as an exhibition is if this fight cannot be sanctioned. He very clearly would want this to be real because it adds another number to the resume. It's a win over a former champion. I just totally disagree.
I don't think he cares. I don't think your
that's
average
insane.
I don't think that's insane at all. I don't think your average person cares either. Do you think your average person knows the difference between he beat Mike Tyson in a pro bout or he beat Mike Tyson in an exhibition bout? They don't.
No, it doesn't.
They don't know.
Doesn't matter to the average person. But you're still you are treating this as if Jake Paul is purely looking at this as a business opportunity, which seems to me he's pretty clearly established that he's a crazy person and actually wants to be like a professional boxer. Because otherwise, why the hell would he have boxed the last two jabronis he did? Like, this is part of his journey to sports thing. Like, for sure, he wants this to be a legitimate fight. Mike doesn't care. This is a payday for Mike.
I don't think Jake Paul cares either. It doesn't matter to him whether he beats Mike Tyson in a pro bout or exhibition bout. Either way, let's say he beats Mike Tyson, he'll have it on. It'll be on his public record. Like, we'll know. Everyone will know. There's no difference whether makes him 10-1 or it keeps him 9-1 with an exhibition bout over Mike Tyson. People don't care. I don't think he cares
a difference for him.
I don't think it is, and I don't see why it would be. I have no idea why it would be. What does it matter?
I have no idea.
Millions of people are going to watch this on Netflix and not even know the difference between exhibition and pro.
The bigger question, the bigger question is, why do you think it won't happen? Like, I agree that it fundamentally doesn't matter either way, but in that scenario, why would you default to exhibition?
He's 58 years old. He hasn't fought competitively.
What does that have to do? Why does that matter, though?
Why does it matter? I would think they would look at that. When was his last pro bout, Jed?
No. So are you telling me that you think they won't sanction this? Because to me, that's the only question, is whether they will sanction it. And if you think the Texas Commission won't sanction this, you're wrong.
I don't think they even want to bother even having to take that chance or face that headache. They don't need to. He hasn't fought professionally in 19 years, Jed. Why would Tyson's camp even be like, yeah, let's go for a sanctioned bout? Who cares? Why would they care? Well, there's two sides to this too. Why would Tyson's camp push for that?
I don't believe Tyson's camp cares. I think they'll just do whatever to get the paycheck. I think that there is a legitimate value to Jake Paul. There's a legitimate value to Jake Paul for this to be professional. He would like it to be professional for his own ego, and the Texas Commission is not going to stand in the way of that.
I just don't see why they would. I'm just not seeing the need for a pro bout at all. It doesn't add anything. I don't think it changes anything.
If we're going down that road, what's the need for this fight at all? Like, the need is not necessary.
Zero.
We don't need any of this.
That's why I'm saying, like,
this is all to satisfy the whims of a rich little Ohio boy.
But that's what I'm saying.
That's what we're doing.
And if we're going to do that, make it as uncomplicated as possible. Don't bother with sanctioning. Don't bother with any potential headaches that could present. Even in Texas, there's still additional paperwork.
I don't think it's complicated. I think you go to Texas and say, we'd like to do this. And they say, I'll take $50 and here's your hall pass.
That's $50, and that's $50 that they could save. That go in their pockets instead. So why even bother giving the Texas Commission a piece of that? How about that? Why give the Texas Commission a piece of any of this when they could take all the money themselves?
Because this is all a vanity project for a rich little boy from Ohio.
And that's why it doesn't matter.
It is more meaningful to him to have a legitimate win than an exhibition win.
People won't tell the difference. It doesn't matter to him. If he knocks out Mike Tyson in exhibition bout, makes no difference between he did it exhibition or pro. It's not going to make a difference. It'll be this viral clip that'll go around, and it won't matter. It really won't matter.
Absolutely makes a difference.
Makes no difference. You keep saying that, and you have no justification for it. You just say it. Okay.
Here's my justification. Why are any bouts professional? Like, if it doesn't make a difference, then why are all bouts not exhibitions?
So you think if he knocks out, you're making the case. No, stop, Jed. You're making the case that if he KOs Mike Tyson in an exhibition bout, people's get back. Oh, no, it didn't count. It's not bad.
No, I've never said that. Now
that's literally what you're saying. Oh, you just did.
You just did. I am saying that fundamentally it is the same writ large, but that the devil is in the details. There's a reason Floyd Mayweather is doing exhibitions, because if something goes wrong, then he's still 50-0 Floyd. It does matter. To say that there is no difference between exhibitions and professionals is a position to have, but then why are all fights just exhibitions at that point? I never said that it doesn't matter. People will still love it. It will still be meaningful. It will not be as meaningful as it being a professional fight. For whatever reason that is, it will not be as meaningful.
A reason you'll get the name. for whatever reason you have yet to name.
You have yet to name why it won't be the same. It's the same. And here's a very specific one, because the way exhibitions work, if they go to the cards, no one wins. That matters. Jake Paul doesn't want to go. Like, sure, he wants to knock out Mike Tyson.
Untrue. Roy Jones Jr. and Mike Tyson.
Did they go? They had a winner.
Split draw. They had judges.
Are you serious? Hold on, I have to look this up now.
Yep.
No, I think the rule. I don't remember it verbatim.
Judges, then that's a goddamn professional fight. It's not an exhibition.
I don't think they had judges. I don't think they had judges.
I just looked it up today. It went to a split draw.
How is that an exhibition? If it like that, then this makes truly no sense if that had judges.
Because there's no rules. It's an exhibition bout. They can do whatever they want with it. That's why I'm saying it's so much easier.
It was
for them.
super bell and whistly.
You could have so much easier as if it's a major onus to get this sanctioned. They do a medical test and they fill out paperwork.
They could have E.K.C. Leiden be the judge if they wanted to. They go like E.K.C. Leiden decides it's an exhibition bout. There's no rule. There's nothing that says. In that sense, though, I will say I would be surprised if this fight had judges. So along those, if it turns out to be an exhibition, I'm kind of with Jed on that. That I would be surprised. I think they would go the Floyd Mayweather Logan route and be like, let's not embarrass either guy. It goes the distance. Both guys get their hand raised. That's actually what I'm expecting to happen. I would be very surprised if anyone knocked anyone out.
I'll be betting on a draw on that fight.
Yeah, if you can,
whatever it is, it'll be a draw bet, 1,000,000%. But we'll see what happens, guys. I love to see the enthusiasm. Yeah. Ooh.
Let's all have fun.
Yeah, let's have some fun. We'll talk more about this in the coming months. That is July 20th, AT&T Stadium. But we have another boxing match to discuss, and we talked about it for 50 minutes earlier, but we're going to talk about it a little bit more. Point for round one goes to... You both did a tremendous job, but I love the spunk from AK here. I mean, this guy just bringing the thunder, bringing some fire. Bringing some fire.
Ridiculous.
I knew that was going to happen too. I mean, I planted that seed. I knew this fight was going to take place.
There are no difference between good and bad things, you fool. You absolute imbecile. They're the same.
Yeah. That's what we're saying. That's what everyone's saying. That's
the argument.
Sure. Yeah. Everything's the same. That's what we're saying.
All right. Well, speaking of good and bad, it depends on what side of the fence you're on. It depends on who you talk to. We do have more boxing. More different kind of boxing, if you will. We have Anthony Joshua versus Francis Ngannou going down. Yes, Francis Ngannou back in the squared circle after taking Tyson Fury to the limit back in October. They returned to Saudi Arabia. And AK, I'll start with you here because Jed and I, we talked about this on our preview show. We dissected a whole bunch of different X's and O type things, but I'm curious to get your thoughts on this. Do you feel like the hype and build is there for this one more so than the Tyson Fury one? I think it's exciting and I think people are talking about it. I felt like there was more buzz behind the Fury fight for some reason. I think this is more interesting on paper because we saw Francis go in there with Tyson Fury and hang, but maybe, I don't know. I just feel like the hype is not as big for this one. Do you feel the same?
I think it can never be as big as the first, right? The intrigue around the debut, how's Francis going to do? But I think what makes the build up to this a little more intriguing is that there is more. And again, this is a broad social media gleaning. I haven't polled 10,000 people and asked them. Maybe we should do that in the comments. I don't know, but I feel like there's more of that sense that Ngannou could do something crazy, right, and pull off an upset here, which I don't agree with. I'm Joshua all the way. But I was the same way I was with the masses in the Tyson Fury Francis Ngannou fight. I was like, Francis has no chance. Francis is either going to get just worked for 10 rounds or Fury's going to wear him down and finish him in the 6th, 7th round. I wasn't giving Francis a chance. I was one of those people. Who said it wouldn't be possible. So when you think about all those doubters, all those guys on social media who were not hating on Francis, but were saying it's great for him for getting the bag. He's just happy to be here. I was 100% wrong. Again, he got the knockdown. He looked fantastic. And in that sense, that's kind of what makes this so much more believable is, yes, we know Anthony Joshua's more experienced. We know Anthony Joshua, has more of a one hitter quitter than Tyson Fury. So he could easily knock Francis out. You could easily go the other way. But man, it's hard to forget about what happened in October, isn't it? It's hard to forget what happened in October. Both guys kind of saying the right things. I guess you would want the trash talk to be a little more. Maybe that's where it's lacking compared to with the Fury and Ngannou stuff. But I'll lean towards this not being like the build up, not being as big as the Fury and Ngannou fight. Again, it's hard to beat the first time. It's hard to beat sort of the mystery. And even those who thought that Fury was just going to wipe out Francis were still like, well, I still want to see it happen. Like, I'm very curious. So it can't quite match that level of intrigue, but it's close, man. It's close. And again, it's to Francis' credit, it's to Joshua's credit, the way they built it up, to all the people involved for the way they hyped it up. That awesome video game promo was sick. But yes, I will lean towards the hype is not quite at the level of Ngannou Fury.
Jed, mom test. Where are you at with this one compared to the Fury fight? Are you getting anything about this? Are your non-combat friends hitting you up about this fight at all? Do you feel like the hype in the combat community and beyond is where it was for the Fury fight?
I'm getting nothing from the outside, but I wasn't getting any from the outside for Fury and Ngannou either, really. So that's about the same. We talked about this not that long ago. So, and by not that long ago, I mean an hour ago. So I'll keep it relatively short here. But for me, I'm more interested. Maybe the vibes feel just different because this is on a Friday, maybe. Like, and so it's just sort of weird in that regard. Was the last one on a Friday? I feel like it was on a Saturday. Yeah. It's weird. Friday's not fight night unless you're sometimes Bellator and PFL, as they've done some weird shit. So like just the timing of when this will be happening at like 6:30 is sort of around the time I'm seeing for estimated ring walks tomorrow. That makes it a little less, but to me, the fight's more intriguing for the stuff I talked about this morning, which is the first time around, we all thought, oh, this is great for Francis. He's going to lose, but he got his paycheck, and that's fantastic. This time around, I still feel that same way, but there is at least the kernel of, well, this man walks in the light. He is touched by God. He is the favorite child, and things keep happening for him outside of what people would expect or what's reasonable to expect. And we did just see him do very well against Tyson Fury, who is a more accomplished heavyweight than Anthony Joshua is. Very different kind of heavyweight, but still, maybe he has a clear path here. He hits her hard. Joshua, I think his chinniness is a little overblown, but it's not like he has a bulletproof chin. And so there's more intrigue on, okay, I see a much more reasonable path to success for him here. So I'm more interested in what will happen tomorrow, even if I feel 95% on what we're going to get. So I don't know about the broader thing. I would guess that the Friday thing has a lot to do with it. But for me personally, I'm more interested.
I mean, it's kind of a tough question to answer. I'm trying to find different ways to present this that we didn't already talk about, Jed. So if you could paint the most interesting picture of how this fight goes and where the division goes and how this all plays out, like, how would you do it? Would it be just a super competitive fight that Joshua wins, but still Ngannou's in play? Is Ngannou just killing him? Like, if you could play this out in your mind and to the people here in the most interesting way that you can possibly think of, how would you do it?
The most interesting way is probably some version where Francis Ngannou looks like a good boxer, win or lose. Like, the truth is, he didn't look like a great boxer against Tyson Fury. He looked like a big, strong dude who knew enough and had enough tools to take advantage of the situation. But like, if you've watched any boxing for most of the middle to end of that fight, Francis is doing nothing because he is trying to manage his cardio so he can do anything at all. And that's how Fury ends up jabbing his way to victory. If Francis can come out here and actually look like, oh, this isn't just that he hits really hard and he can do that to anyone, that's compelling, but it is limited. Puncher's chances are limited for a reason. If he comes out and like, oh, Francis can box a little, even if he loses, that makes matchups with Deontay Wilder, like, and a rematch with Fury way more compelling. And I mean, certainly, look, we're MMA people. I don't care at all about Anthony Joshua. If Francis goes out here, looks like a good boxer, and then knocks out Anthony Joshua, it's going to be deeply compelling for what his future is in the boxing ring. So that's probably the most interesting outcome here.
How would you do it, AK? What would be the most interesting way this fight could go tomorrow? Like, without being, comic booky.
I mean, is it comic booky to call for a Francis KO? You know that I
No.
can't picture it. I can't picture it. Just like I couldn't picture him knocking Fury down. But again, I don't know. I don't see a realistic scenario where Ngannou just straight up colds Anthony Joshua. But we've seen stranger things in sports. Maybe Joshua has an off night. Maybe France is the best France we've ever seen. Maybe the size difference matters. I don't know. I know it doesn't matter that much at heavyweight boxing, I understand. But Ngannou is 20 pounds heavier than Joshua. That's kind of interesting. Though then again, the co-mains even worse. I think Zhang is 40 pounds heavier than Parker, so 40, 50 pounds heavier. So maybe that won't matter. But yeah, I can't think of anything more intriguing than Ngannou just somehow flatlining Joshua. It won't be somehow it will be less shocking than what we saw in October, you know what I mean, where Ngannou not only knocked Tyson Fury down, but depending who you ask and how you scored it, beat Tyson Fury in his first pro boxing bout. Like this will be close to that, but maybe we won't connect that level. Maybe for some of the reasons that Jed said, there just doesn't quite seem to be that mainstream penetration for this bout either. So I don't know if it'll. I mean, look, it'll go viral, it'll go crazy. It'll be. I don't know what it'll mean for either man's career. Like I think Joshua, I don't know if you can bounce back from being knocked out by again a guy in his second pro bout, even if it is a former UFC champion. And for Francis, man, it just raises the expectations to an insane level. Obviously, he would go on to fight the Fury Usyk winner. People would love to see. I think that Fury and Ngannou again. They would certainly love to see Ngannou and Usyk. But man, I don't know. I don't know what promoter like I don't know what direction you go with him because suddenly if anything, if he knocks out Joshua, he becomes his own attraction, you know. And at that point, of course, he has to fight one of the guys from the May 18th bout. But then he's really wide open for him to fight anybody. We mentioned Deontay Wilder. We mentioned he could become the A side. He could become the A side. No more Joshua Ngannou, no more Fury Ngannou. It'll be Ngannou and then some other heavyweight they drag in. But it definitely that has to come with a win. That has to come with a win. As much as I've said, I think I've written that and kind of Jed has mentioned, as long as Ngannou looks competent, kind of looks as good as he did against Fury, he'll be fine to continue to have a career. But a win makes him a legitimate boxing ace side, which again is not something I would have predicted, 10 months ago. But here we are. So yeah, I want to see chaos, and I want to see that KO.
Last thing on this, and then we'll move on to UFC 299. AK over under 1 year from today, March 7th, 2025. I don't even know why I'm saying over under because it does that, but I'll just set the date at March 7th, 2025. Will Francis Ngannou have competed in an MMA fight for the PFL?
Oh, Mike, why do you ask the hard questions? Why are you so good at asking the hard questions? Without doing the math in my head regarding like the whole, Fernand Ferreira said that he's going to wait for Francis. Don Davis said he's fine with waiting for Francis until 2025. Will Francis compete in the smart cage in 2025? Yes, this is Prince of Positivity talking for sure. Again, I probably should have thought more about how the timing is going to line up. Again, with all the scenarios we just mentioned, if Francis does well in the fight, if he books another huge boxing match sometime later this year, and then who knows how that match goes, sets him up for another big boxing match. But I do think Francis get your LOLs ready. I do think Francis is a man of his word. I do think he will compete for the PFL at least once, and I do think it'll be sooner rather than later. So March 2025 doesn't sound too bad for me, Mike. I will go truth or whatever, truth or under whatever whatever it says that he will fight on. He will fight for the PFL, and it will happen in first quarter of 2025.
Jed, yay or nay? March 7, 2025, Francis Ngannou will have competed in a mixed martial arts bout for the Professional Fighters League.
I'm going to go no. I think he should. We talked about it in the previous show this morning. I think that there is a big value to him going back to MMA. Maybe not like full sale monetarily. He'll still do well, but he won't do as well in boxing. But there are just so many you need wins in life, even if they are over cans. This is something we talked about in the show. I think there's a big benefit to the boxing model of people getting softball touches to build confidence, to just build rhythm, like get work in. And it'd be a different sport, but I do think it would honestly behoove him if he goes out here, lose to Joshua, to just go back, beat up Renan Ferreira, and then, hey, look, he can still do this. It reignites some of the interest around him. We're no longer just just booking him in boxing matches based on good vibes and cash grabs. It's like, oh, remember when he sent this dude to the Shadow Realm? Because we saw him knock down Tyson Fury, like, but we haven't seen Francis send somebody out since Stipe. Like, we have not seen Francis do the Francis thing in a long time at this point. So I think it would behoove him to go back and do that, but it's not going to happen. If he wins this fight, he's not accepting another fight until he fights the Usyk Fury winner. And I believe that those two are rematching regardless of outcome there. So he might be on the shelf for a year, like at least 6 months to 8 months. And when more likely he loses this fight, he either can get Fury, like that's still on the table, but I think he loses this fight and we get Deontay Wilder, because whatever happens tomorrow, everyone's interested in Deontay Wilder versus Francis. There is nothing. If Joshua goes out there and boxes him up, that's never been Deontay Wilder's game. Deontay Wilder versus Francis Ngannou is two kaijus just throwing haymakers until one falls down, and everybody is super into that. And so that fight can happen at any point in time. And I would suspect that that's next for Francis with a loss tomorrow, which means probably not in the PFL by this time next year, you know?
That's tomorrow. Lots going on this weekend. PFL going on right now. We got this card tomorrow. And then we're going to talk about what's going to happen on Saturday. Very excited for Saturday. That's coming up next. But the point for round 2 goes to Jed Meshew. Nicely done. Just a well thought out, perfect answer to questions I somewhat asked an hour and a half ago. So he was ready for all of that. Guys, I know we got weird boxing matches and out of the box boxing matches, but we're MMAfighting.com. We've been building up to this time period for months now. This Saturday, Miami, Florida, UFC 299. What a card this is. Tremendous main card. A lot of preliminary fights with stakes. There's storylines galore, especially with this main event. We have the rematch, the highly anticipated rivalry chapter 2 between Sean O'Malley and Marlon Vera, but this time it is for the UFC Bantamweight Championship of the World. Sean O'Malley puts title on the line for the first time. Jed, you have been a man who has been on many of our shows. I've not listened to No Bets Barred yet, who has been very confident in Marlon Vera beating Sean O'Malley. And there are often times where you make these types of predictions in a reaction to a fight being made. Then fight week comes, you have to place some bets. You go and you watch tape. Maybe you see things from different angles. Maybe you look at things from different perspectives. So we're 48 hours away from UFC 299. Where are we at here? Excitement levels for this main event. Do you have the same confidence now than you did maybe 3 months ago and how this fight could play out?
As far as excitement levels go, I'm interested. The main event is like just it's great. Like, it's a good fight. It's a fun fight. It's probably not my top 5 fights of this weekend. Like, maybe it is. It's a good fight, but like just look at the rest of 299, man. There's some absolute bangers going on Saturday, baby. Like, Poirier, Benoit Saint-Denis, that should be everyone's fight of the week. Like, if that's not your fight of the weekend, I don't know what's wrong with you, but you're doing it incorrectly. The rest of this main card, I guess we're going to talk about the main card, so I don't want to tread too far on future toes, but like, there's just a whole bunch of good shit happening on Saturday, baby. The main event is also one of those. I'm not here to say it's bad. It's just not to my taste as one of the best ones. When this fight was announced, I immediately thought, oh, Chio's going to beat him. I get why we're doing it, but Chio's going to beat him. And then that's going to be quite funny because Chito Vera is probably like, at best, the 6th best bantamweight in the world, and he's going to be champ. And I still think, gun to my head, that's the route I'm choosing. I feel a lot less confident. I've got my preview on this fight coming up, I think today, maybe it's tomorrow. I submitted it yesterday. And as you dive into it, it feels real simplistic. This fight, like this matchup, is very much Conor McGregor versus Nate Diaz. In that Conor, rangy striker, been killing everybody. Probably better than a lot of people think he is, but also worse than like his most ardent fans believe he is. And against Nate, like Chito and Nate Diaz are different in a lot of respects, but the fundamental piece about them that makes their game work is that they are just otherworldly tough. You cannot physically harm either of them. You can win decisions over them, but you can't defeat them in a untimed bout, basically. And that's interesting because as I like through that lens, then the question becomes, well, is this Conor Nate 1 or Conor Nate 2? And that's going to largely be dependent on Sean O'Malley. Because if Sean comes out here and just is like, hey, I've been saying I'm going to knock him out. He and his team, have been saying we believe we can knock him out. If he comes out here and just tries to knock out Cheeto, he is going to get tired. He's going to get slow, and Cheeto's not. And Cheeto's going to start hitting him as this fight goes on. It's going to go bad for Sean O'Malley as the fight goes on. If he doesn't, if he comes with a really disciplined approach here and is like, hey, I just want to minimize my risks here against Cheeto. I am much faster. I have better movement. I kick him a bunch in the legs. I'm going to move around outside. I'm going to Carlos Condit Nick Diaz him. And people might not be super big fans of how this goes, but I'm going to do what Conor did to Nate in the rematch and survive to win a decision. He can win. And it will largely be on whatever his plan is, and to an extent, what Cheeto can then impose back in opposition. Gun to my head, I'm going Cheeto here, but it is a legitimately fascinating fight to see sort of where these two dudes are at, the way that their styles mesh against each other, and I think it's going to be fun. I at least hope it's going to be fun, and we don't get a full-blown kick-heavy decision for 25 minutes.
AK, where are your excitement levels for this main event? I feel like this has been, I don't know, kind of like where we're at with Ngannou and Joshua. Like, everyone was so excited and it was intriguing heading in, and then fight week comes around and it's like, I don't know if it's just mixed in with everything else happening in the combat sports world right now, but where are your excitement levels? I think once we get to Saturday, we are going to be friggin' ready to go. And even by tomorrow, we might be like just revs and engines revved, ready to drive 500 miles an hour towards Miami. But right now, excitement levels for this main event.
I'm excited as hell. For the reasons you mentioned, it is hard, I think, for anyone who's so deep into combat sports to like get excited about anything that far ahead of time. Well, I say that far ahead of time when there's another event in the middle, a very notable event, right? We've got Ngannou, we've got Anthony Joshua. PFL Europe is happening right now as we speak. I'm not saying that's like something that people had marked on their calendars, but this is how busy the combat sports week has been, right? There's constantly something happening, and it is buzzworthy of just for the existence of Cedric Doumbé, who's fighting on the top of the card. So that's happening, and I'm sure there's a lot of people who didn't even know that. So yes, it's we kind of have to, especially when since we're working, we kind of have to manage our excitement levels, manage our anticipation. But I was working on my UFC 299 predictions, and as I was doing so, I was just getting so hyped, just writing about every fight. I only do the main card stuff, but even just looking at the prelims, I was like, Curtis Blades, Jelton Almeida, I'm super excited for. I'm on the Jelton Almeida train all the way. I have no idea how he wins this fight, but I'm crossing my fingers that he can. That's not my prediction. I'm leaning towards Blades, so that's a whole other thing. And then you've got other contenders. Matthias Gamrot and RDA is on there. I think Pedro Munoz, Carla Phillips will be a great fight. You want Kutalaba, Philip Lins. That's a no contest waiting to happen, and I just can't wait to see why.
Oh, come on. That fight's the most fun.
I'm just saying, how will it end, Jed? What crazy circumstance will have this so that neither man has their hand raised somehow? It's just, I don't know.
You were talking about crazy circumstances. You one more fight down the list, AK. Our boy.
Oh, Demolidor.
That's right. Michelle Behet and Mikhail Oleksiejczuk.
So good.
Yeah, that's probably my number 2 of the weekend.
Oh my god, I'm pumped for all these fights. I'm probably more pumped for the main event than Jed is. He's right; it might not even be the best fight on the main card, but it's a great fight. It's got the storyline. I'm putting aside all the stuff of should Cheeto have gotten the shot over Sandhagen and Umar and Merab? That's fine. We're 2 days away. We can't worry about that now. It's a good matchup, and I'm actually picking O'Malley, Mike. I know Jed gave his prediction, so I won't get the chance to do so tomorrow. I know I won't be on the preview show. I'm going O'Malley by knockout. First man to finish Cheeto Vera. I'm calling it.
Wow. That will be I I mean, that's actually a really good segue to this next question, honestly. I will reveal, I do have a bet on this fight. I am taking Marlon Vera plus 5.5 points. I think it's like minus 110. I think there's value there. I view this fight is very close. I think we are going to the cards. But, AK, you bring this out, and there are a lot of questions surrounding this division. I know we kind of talked about this on the roundtable a little bit, but the big question is, where does Sean O'Malley go if he wins this fight? Especially if he does so in impression fashion. I mean, there's Merab. He seems to be turning course a little bit. Even at the media day, it was like, I'm fighting Merab next. He's going to, I guess, apparently Merab's going to weigh in as a backup as well. So he's in Miami. Of course, he's going to sit front row. There's the boxing realm. There's the Ilya Taporia idea as well. So if you would play, if you could actually place a wager, let's just say Sean O'Malley wins and you can place a wager on this. Will Sean O'Malley and Merab Dvalishvili have a face-off in the middle of the octagon if he wins on Saturday?
Oh, that's not necessarily will he fight Merab next, just will they have a face-off?
If there's if there's a face-off, they're gonna friggin' fight. Unless something crazy happens, they're gonna friggin' fight. If the UFC allows to jump over the barricade and get into the octagon, that they're going to fight.
I saw Daniel Cormier and Brock Lesnar face off once inside the cage, and I'm still waiting for that fight. So I don't know. I think they will face.
That's something crazy.
I saw DDP and Izzy face off. I still don't know if that fight will happen. The fight probably will happen. So
it's definitely gonna happen.
I can't. Again, I'm hedging here because I do think they're going to face off, but I don't know if it's going to be next. Now, you did bring up sort of the round table we did. And I'll just say it right now. My answer, I wrote for this roundtable. You guys can find it on MMAfighting.com. Has aged extremely poorly. I got a little excited when Ryan Garcia appeared on the MMA Hour and started talking some business about O'Malley, saying he's gonna kill him in a UFC fight. And I thought, yeah, that'd be pretty hilarious. I think if he wants to go into the UFC and fight in the octagon and fight under MMA rules against O'Malley, UFC should jump on that. I don't know if everyone has been following Ryan Garcia's social media activity over the past few days. It's out there. It's a bit out there. If you're late to the party, I think a lot of the tweets are deleted, unfortunately. But suffice to say, he went on quite a few rants, several rants in many different directions. It got a lot of attention, but he has a fight coming up, of course, with Devin Haney on April 20th, so he has that. But after that, I don't know where this guy's head. I don't know where the guy's head is at right now. I don't know where it's going to be after that fight. And now, again, looking at where his mental state might be, I'm wondering if all the stuff about going to the UFC might have just been a bit of chatter, might have been a bit of idle chatter that Ryan maybe wasn't serious about, or if he's serious about it, but it doesn't actually have any basis in reality. So I may have to pull back my Ryan Garcia prediction there. The right thing to do, of course, is to fight Merab. Like I said, I do believe there will be a face-off. Will he end up fighting Merab next? I got a weird feeling that Topuria fight's going to happen somehow. I don't want it. I think it's silly. But I just have a feeling he still avoids Merab at least for one more fight. So, yeah, face-off, yes. Merab next. I don't think so.
Jed, what say you? Merab, Topuria, boxing. If Sean wins, even if we have a face-off, is it Merab next? Are we going to go that route? Is Merab over enough for the UFC to just be like, all right, let's just do this. There's no other option.
Yeah, I think Merab's over enough. I mean, one, Dana White never makes fights on fight night. Like, we all know this. Well known for not making fights on fight night. And yet after Merab's last performance, he was like, Merab's next. So I just take that to the bank. That's as good as gold for sure. But like, I also believe that it is true that he's over enough. I mean, Sean O'Malley came out 2 weeks ago, a week ago. I don't remember the timeline. But was just like, he had come out and said, Merab's an option, but I'm still interested in Topuria or some other stuff. Like, I want to do the biggest fights. And then got such backlash from the fans that he was like, JK, guys, Merab's it. Like, you guys said, don't do the Topuria stuff. Got it. Loud and clear. Merab's next. And again, like, maybe he could be lying or changing it up, but it feels like Merab has done what Bilal Muhammad has been unable to. He took an opportunity and converted it in a meaningful way, not just with the brass, but with the fan base. And now he gets to weigh in as the backup. Sidebar, can you imagine, like, both Cheeto and Sean said they'd fight Merab if either misses weight. I can genuinely not imagine a worse transition between fighting Chito Vera to Merab Dvalishvili. Those are not remotely similar human beings or what they bring to the table. So credit to them if that happens. Knock on wood, it doesn't. But I do think ultimately Merab's going to get the shot. Maybe there's a little bit of gamesmanship. Maybe it takes a little more time and it's not like, okay, International Fight Week, let's go. But I think the momentum is all there, and there's not enough actual interest in Garcia. Topuria is just kind of floating it, but I think fans would riot if Topuria and Sean in 2 of the 4 best weight classes start doing this dumb shit instead of defending it. It's the multipliable contenders. So I think Rob's got it.
Yeah, I mean, look, if Sean does if Sean goes out there and if he 13 seconds Chito Vera, he's probably getting the Topuria fight. If he wants it, he's going to get it. So I don't think that's going to happen, but I'm not ruling it out altogether. So I ask you, Jed, final question of this round. What is the most interesting result for this division? Is it Chito winning for one? Because then we don't have to even ask these questions about Ilia Topuria. We know what Chito's going to do. He's going to stay in his division. He's going to fight the next man up. Plus, there is the Ecuadorian market, which is pretty big. I guess like there's 40 Ecuadorian press members that are actually in Miami right now. So Chito is like a big portion of the promotion for this card in his home country. And it would mean a whole hell of a lot to Ecuador if Chito Vera can go ahead and get this done. So if you were the UFC Bantamweight Division's commissioner, what would you hope to see on Saturday night when the dust settles?
I mean, if I am, I've got to hope that Sean O'Malley wins. And if he does it impressively, that's better. But I think that's got to be where you hope things go. If Chito wins, like you said, there are good points to that. It's not a total loss, but we can all be really honest about what's going to happen. There's a world Sean O'Malley beats Merab Dvalishvili. I do not believe we live in that current world, but there is one out there in the many universes that exists. I am extremely skeptical that there is any universe in which Chito Vera beats Merab Dvalishvili. They've both fought a lot. We've seen them fight a lot, barring just the best strike of Chito's career. He going to get Merab super hard. And so you would be losing Sean O'Malley, who is an ascending star, a guy who has been bookmarked to be kind of that next level star. Interestingly enough, Topuria has basically already passed him in that. And no one was talking about Topuria 2 years ago when it was all like Sean O'Malley's next big thing. But he still has the bones to greater stardom behind him. And he loses to Chito, that's going to take a major hit. And Chito is very, very popular and could be big. Chito cannot beat Merab. And so that's also limiting. So I think if I'm putting my eggs in a basket, I'm putting them in the Sean basket and hoping against hope he gets it done. And then hoping against hope he also gets it done against Merab.
AK, same for you? Is that the most interesting result, Sean winning? Not just for a business, for the division as well.
I don't know if it's interesting. Again, I can't help but look at it in a business way. And I haven't seen I think I have seen the betting lines, and Chito is a pretty decent underdog. I think if I was looking at DraftKings, like plus 230 something. Guys, listen to No Bet Smart. Right? They Jed and GC definitely know more about this stuff than I do. But so it wouldn't be like an unexpected result if Sean O'Malley wins. It's certainly, I would think, what the UFC is pushing for, even given that Chito clearly has some sort of international appeal. He's also a company man. They love Chito. He loves the UFC. He never says a bad word about the UFC. He's usually one of the first people to step forward and kind of not like call out people for complaining about fighter pay, but he's definitely not like backing people up when the discussion happens. He's very much I'm very happy with what I do. I'm very grateful to the UFC for what they've given me. And again, for his purposes, that's fine. He has made a very, very good living as a UFC fighter. So I'm not judging him by that at all. So yeah, UFC would be more than happy to see Chito win. They know he's going to show up. They know he's going to fight whoever they want. Jed's right. Probably would be very bummed out to put him up against Merab next. That's probably just not going to go his way. But yes, it's not a bad alternative if this Sean O'Malley hype train does hit a snag. And notice I say hit a snag, does not stop, because Sean O'Malley can lose on Saturday and still go on to become maybe not McGregor level, become a pretty damn big star. For me, it was really the Sterling fight that was the make or break. I do feel like if the Sterling fight had not gone his way, that really would have lowered the ceiling on how far he could go. But the way he won it, the fact that he beat a guy who was pretty heavily favored seemed like a stylistic nightmare. The way the UFC jumped on it and immediately put the knockout onto YouTube for free, which they never ever do, that was already put him at a level that he can't drop from, regardless of what happens on Saturday. I don't know what O'Malley is thinking if he loses, if he wants to, is willing to say, doesn't go and chase other opportunities, wants to work his way back to another title shot, wants to work his way back to a third shot at Vera. I think that's a very sellable fight, even if he loses, because the first fight felt incomplete in a way, right? Not discrediting Vera's win, but it was incomplete. So I still think that an O'Malley win is the best thing for the UFC. And maybe just for MMA in general, again, given the mainstream appeal that this guy has, if that matters to people. So again, I've talked myself into an O'Malley knockout, and maybe that's just why I am stuck on that idea and how much that would have people buzzing if it happened.
All right. That is the main event. There's a lot more to this card, and that's what we're going to talk about in round 4. So the point for round 3 goes to Jed Meshew. It's 2-1. Nicely done. And,
Look, JK.
We'll get ready for round 4. How you feeling, AK? Back against the wall.
Yeah, I'm a little discouraged. My corner should take a good look at me right now. I'm just saying, I want to go back out there, Mike. I want to go back out there for the 4th. But my corner may have to protect me from myself. But let's go. Ring the damn bell.
So you're more Calvin Cater than Shamil Ghaziv.
Yeah. Exactly. I'm Boston strong.
Also, by the way, if AK does win this round, we will go to the knockout round, and we're going to turn that over to you. So if you guys want to put your questions in, Super Chatters, you cross the line. Super Chatters, you get the best shot here. We will take the top 2 questions. Top 2 questions. If you Super Chat them in, you get to jump the line. Top 2 will be used for the knockout round, so stay tuned for that. But let's go to the rest of you. UFC 299. We have Dustin Poirier versus Benoit Saint-Denis, 5 rounds at 155 pounds. Describe Poirier versus Saint-Denis in 1 word, and then show your work.
Oh, sorry, you got cut off there. I was okay. Yeah, no, I think he said me. I just no, my thing clipped for a second, and I was waiting for him to say the name at the end. Yeah, okay, sorry guys, that's on my end. Legacy changes. Legacy changing.
A hyphen.
Yeah, not defining. Dustin Poirier's legacy is, again, he's going to go down as one of the all-time great, most beloved fighters. And a loss to Benoit Saint-Denis shouldn't change that. He's taking a big risk here. He is going into this fight with, I think, little to gain, other than knocking off an under, which is always good. But let's face it, BSD is the far less established name. He beats Poirier. He takes the top 5 spot that Poirier has held for the last, 4 or 5 years. He's been top 5 guy forever. BSD swoops in and takes that. I don't think this is a case. Excuse me, sorry guys. I don't think this is a case where if Saint-Denis won, we would simply drop Poirier down and then Saint-Denis and move someone else up, and Saint-Denis would be just outside the top 5. I think he has to take a top 5 spot if he wins here, regardless of whether it's a close decision, even if it's controversial. I think the win is what gets him up there, because this is a guy who did not turn pro until that long ago, mostly because of circumstances around the pro MMA scene in France, but technically has not been a pro for long. So if he's able to score a victory, however it happens, against Poirier in his not even 5 years into his pro career, it would just be astonishing. And it would put him towards the path of, I think, getting a title shot somewhere down the road. I've had my doubts about BSD. Again, maybe I'm just fooled by the relative lack of experience, but he's powered through so many challenges, so many opponents. You could absolutely talk me into him fighting for the title, if not this year, sometime in 2025 or early 2025. As for Poirier, the reason why I say it's legacy changing is because if he beats BSD, it keeps him in that title talk. He's always in there. He's obviously always in there because just based on what he's done, his fighting style, how much the UFC loves him, how much fans rightfully adore him. He's always in that conversation. But a loss to BSD would be his 3rd in his last 4 fights. He still has name value to get big fights, but at that point, I will boldly say if he loses to BSD, we do not see Dustin Poirier fight for a title again. that may happen anyway. Again, maybe he beats Saint-Denis and it's not in the cards for him to get a title fight anyway, but to keep those chances alive, I do think he has to win on Saturday. So this is a legacy-changing fight because, listen, if Poirier gets a title shot, probably ends up having to fight Islam. It probably doesn't go well for him anyway, but just to get that shot, I think would mean a lot. Just to have a chance, and once he's in there, you never know what can happen. So, I'll stick with legacy changing. Poirier has a great one, but it could be just that much better if he beats BSD and gets one more shot at an undisputed UFC title. So, and again, BSD, it's already been said. This is the future is now for this guy.
Jed, what's your word? You can use a hyphen like AK if you'd like. Poirier versus Saint-Denis, and then show your work.
Outlandiculous. That's right, Mike. I made up a word because I don't know what AK's doing here. Sure, there are storylines and whatever. Who gives two shits about the stories and the legacy? These two dudes are about to go hammer and tongs on each other for as long as it lasts. And it could last up to 25 minutes. I wrote this week that this is 1A in the preseason fight of the year favorites, along with Justin Gaethje, Max Holloway. Those two are interchangeable. Whichever one of think is the leading favorite to get it, you're not wrong. This fight is going to be insane. It's going to be so much fun. BSD, I've comped him to young Justin Gaethje because that's what he is. Like a little more grappling focused in parts, but he is just an all violence animal in there. And we saw what Dustin Poirier did to Justin Gaethje the first time, the young Justin Gaethje, before Justin got a little more seasoned, learned a little more lessons, and could take advantage in their rematch most recently. This fight is bananagrams. It's going to be absolute chaos. It's going to be the most fun any of us have this whole weekend. There is almost no world where this fight isn't fun. The only way it happens is if somebody gets got early, and that doesn't seem very likely because Dustin Poirier has historically been a pretty durable guy. He's not bulletproof, pretty durable. Benoit Saint-Denis, man's got a chin on him. He ain't got no concern about defense. Defense can get the hell out of here because I'm just going to get in and get after it. I think Dustin Poirier is going to have a great night on the feet against BSD. I think his defense is too much for BSD. The question then becomes Benoit Saint-Denis grappling. He's a very good grappler. I think he's a lot more active with it than people sort of remember because of the highlights and how they look. Incredibly physical, and that has always been a way you can attack Poirier, is getting him to the ground and sort of flattening him out. This fight is going to maybe this is why AK was just talking about the legacy there, because there's going to be some martial arts mixed in this, and there's going to be some hammers chucked, and there's going to be some violence and some blood. It's going to kick all the ass. This is the fight of the weekend, ladies and gentlemen. That's the word for it. I don't even need to say anything else, Mike.
Okay, well, what about this, Jed? If you can only watch the main event, the co-main event, and one other fight on UFC 299, what's fight 3?
Oh my God. That's so hard. That's so hard. Look, here's where AK can get back because the audience is not going to agree with me. They're not going to, and that's okay. But I don't need, I want to see Kevin Holland, Michael Venom Page. I don't need to see it. I want to see Gilbert Burns Stadium. Don't need to see it. I am deeply fascinated in Petr Yan Song Yadong. That could make me sad. You know what's not going to make me sad, Mike? And it's the fight I talked about earlier. I am who I am. I'm going to love the way I love, and you guys can't talk me out of it. You can't keep me from being me. I'm going to let my flag fly. Michel Demolador Pereira, AK, and I know him well. Big impact in Missed Fists in the early days. He came into the UFC, and I couldn't be more excited about his weird capoeira, doing all sorts of shit. He took a loss. He started getting a little more boring and being more responsible, good fighter, but there's still flashes of delight in them. And I don't know if you guys have ever seen Mikhail Oleksiejczuk fight, but the man fights as if the clock is his enemy. He is going to come and put a pace on Pereira. Pereira, now that he's up at middleweight, maybe he's less concerned about, keeping his gas tank going, and he can do some of the weird capoeira shit. These two dudes are just action figures who are going to hit each other like you're a kid, just until one of them breaks, and I got to see which one breaks. That's probably my number 3 fight of the weekend because I'm a crazy person, but that's where I'm at.
Okay, I mean, look, Jed is who he is. Stands by his convictions. When he says something, he
Let
means
me
it.
love the way I want to love.
He loves the way he wants to love. AK, how do you love? We have
I mean,
co-main event. What's number 3?
yeah, you can't go wrong with that pick. I mean, I'll go a different way, but you can't go wrong with that pick. And when you guys talk about middleweight being a hot division, I mean, they were blessed by Michel Pereira coming up from welterweight, Michael Oleksiejczuk coming down from light heavyweight, and now what two beautiful additions to the budding 185-pound division.
Nobody
So
made that
can't go
argument
wrong with that at all.
in that case.
It was
Somebody should have
it
argued
was
that, and I would have been like, "You're right."
I might have
You're
lost
correct.
if someone brought up Michel Pereira and Oleksiejczuk was coming up. But yes, people don't miss that. That's on the early prelims, so don't miss that fight for sure. But I'll go chalk. I'll go with the low-hanging fruit, as Jed mentioned. I am so intrigued by the debut of Michael Venom Page. I'm a big MVP guy. I'm someone who I think when in our rankings, I probably had him ranked higher than anyone else when he won he very, very narrowly won the second Douglas Lima fight. I think I might have been the only one to put him in the top 10 or close to the top 10, and people said I was crazy. And the way it played out, it probably was a little too high. But he should have been in the UFC a long time ago. Enjoyed his Bellator run, no regrets as a fan. It was fine seeing him crush a lot of some overmatched opponents over there. And he fell short in some big fights too. But this is where he belongs. He's a little bit up there in age, but he has some great fights left in him. Kevin Holland was the perfect matchup. So big kudos to the matchmakers. This is the way he should go. I think Holland's going to upset him, actually. I really do. I think this could end poorly for Michael Page, but I want to find out. And seeing him, just the possibility of it going the other way and him scoring one of his viral KOs of Kevin Holland and somehow setting up a fight with his countryman, Leon Edwards, would be so hilarious. So there's a lot of permutations. There's a lot of permutations to this fight. And really, neither result will make me happy. Kevin Holland KO, fantastic. Michael Page KO, fantastic. Just, I was going to say, if it's boring, obviously, maybe that's not great, but I can't imagine this, even if it goes the distance, being like an uneventful, dull 3-rounder. I don't mean to jinx it, but yeah, I think they laid out this card perfectly. I think the main event, the co-main, I think Kevin Holland, Michael Page, just for the co-main, perfect. Well done. Great job, UFC.
Yeah, I thought you were going to go with Jelton Almeida, but you'll be watching that.
I'm too scared.
Kind of a feeling.
I'm too scared. That could get ugly. Sorry. Almeida high. Full confession. I am not confident that Almeida's going to win that fight. So I apologize in advance. That could get real ugly for Jelton. It could get real ugly.
I hear nothing.
Oh yeah, I thought that was me again.
No, I was muted myself while I kept going. I just thought you were going to go Yan Song because they're probably not going to mix the martial arts all that much, and it's going to be super fun.
So many great fights. This card is incredible.
Card kicks ass. It's opening incredible. With a rematch no one cares about, and then everything else heaters. Just 100 miles an hour.
JoJo's last fight. Could be JoJo's. It could be JoJo's last fight. What do you mean? It could be her last fight. This could be the last we see of JoJo.
It is.
Okay. I made my stance clear with 300. You need a fight like this. You got to give people time to get in the arena, sit down, and not miss a fight that they don't really care about. So I'm happy for this fight to be here.
Fair enough. All right. The point for round 4 goes to Jed Meshu's opponent, Alexander K. Lee. It's 2-2.
What a swerve.
Wow.
What a swerve.
I'm so excited. Thank you. Thank you.
The momentum has been taken away.
I thought you were going to fall out of your chair, Jed. There you go, momentum.
Oh, yeah.
That would have made our show forever.
TKO, 4th round, just like Cheeto.
Yes. Well, let's see. Let's bring Casey in. That means we're going to the knockout round. We're going to take 2 questions from the peeps. The 2 best questions. Jed, you were the most previous winner on this program. Do you want to answer the first question or do you want to answer the second question?
I assume the first one will be the better question, so I'll answer the first one.
Okay.
All right, so I'm picking 2 questions. Is that what I'm doing? Or one,
Yeah,
one,
2 best questions that you think
two.
would work in this final round.
So the final round, they get. Are they answering 2 questions, or a different question for each contestant?
Different question for each contestant.
Oh boy. Okay. All right.
Give
Ooh.
me
Or whatever
the
you want to do.
easy-
Whatever's easiest for you, Casey. You decide. You surprise me.
Ooh.
Give me the fun, good, easy question, and give AK the very difficult, boring question.
All right. Hold on. We're doing things different. Give me a second. All right. Here's our question. For Jed. Let me get the clock ready, though. Oh, shoot.
Lots of curveballs here.
Yeah.
I didn't know Jake Paul versus freaking Mike Tyson was going to be announced today. We had a
True.
different plan for the Q&A portion of the program, but
All right.
it's the world we live in, ladies and gentlemen.
For Jed.
There's Jed Michoud. Already 1 minute on the clock. Let's see what the question is. And I will read it for the podcasters. All right. Super chat from LR. You see it on the board here. 60 seconds. Thoughts on what has transpired over the last few days with Bloody Elbow. Go.
Glad I get to answer this in the flow of the game. This would have been my sort of post-fight speech. If you don't care about Bloody Elbow, I understand that, and that's fine. You don't have to. If you are one of those people out there who are celebrating the downfall of Bloody Elbow, I would encourage you to maybe just take some time and reflect, because what the sport is losing with Bloody Elbow is immense. I got my start in many respects with Bloody Elbow. A ton of people in this industry did. And outside of that, their content may not have been for everyone, but their content was essential. The stuff that they did as a media entity, as journalists, is unparalleled. Even by ourselves here at MMA Fighting, Kareem Zidane is, for my money, the best journalist in MMA and has been for some time. They did the stuff that you want, that needs to be done, even if maybe it's not the most popular. My heart goes out to everyone who lost a job over that, and I hope that that space gets filled by somebody real, because what we lost sucked.
Well said. All right. That was Jed. We go to AK, and then after AK answers his question, you guys will vote, and do so very quickly, because there's a lot going on, and I have to go to the airport within the next hour and a half. So before working at the airport during PFL. AK, what is your question? You don't know, but Casey might. There it is. Pro Fights info coming through. AK, which fighter has the most to gain on Saturday, and which has the most to lose? So a 2-parter here. Which fighter is the most to gain on Saturday? Which has the most to lose? Go.
Yeah, most to lose is pretty easy. It's Petr Yan. It's Petr Yan. I've been someone who's kind of defended his struggles, and again, I think if you've actually watched the fights, I don't think he's fallen off as much people think. He's got mileage on him, but not that much mileage. Only like 10 years in his career. He could have won a couple of those decisions, but if he loses to Song Yadong, talented guy, great fighter, but a guy who has fallen short consistently against the elite, it's going to say a lot about where Petr Yan is. And not to say that he can't come back, but boy, does Petr Yan need this win. And they've given him a cherry shot. Who has the most to gain? I mean, my boy, Gelson Almeida. Again, I didn't get a chance to talk about him much before, but this is the test, right? People are saying, can he go against a guy who is a wrestler, who is a grappler, great takedown defense, and just Almeida him as he has everyone else? I hope so. And if he can, I mean, a fight with Tom Aspinall for the interim heavyweight title, and then, God forbid, somewhere down the road, John Jones. Gelson Almeida is my guy who has got a lot on the line on Saturday.
I'm watching a highlight of a knockout that happened on the PFL card. This is the most
It's interesting.
stupid
I'm looking at it as
ever.
well.
What is this dude doing?
The head kick one,
Mikhail
right?
Grog? What is he doing? He
He's
just walked
celebrating.
in and was like, kick me in the face. Kick me in the face. He just walks in with his hands down and just almost like stands
tried to
there
roll
daring
it.
him.
He tried to
in
get
the
the
face.
shoulder up to roll it. Sometimes we make mistakes, Mike. Sometimes it happens.
It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. I've watched this clip 800 times in a row. I still don't understand what this guy is doing. Oh my
Defense is
God.
for
It's going to be on
cowards.
MMA Fighting soon. And once it's up, you should probably just keep it up and just keep
I mean,
watching.
a quality 12-second knockout or whatever. It looks like 12 is the stoppage. Yeah, it's
I mean, the official time is 10 seconds, I believe.
a little too much dip on his chip, you know? He's vibing a little too hard in there.
Doing like what the frig is he doing? Oh my god! Oh, can't wait till this goes up on the website. I have no words. Okay, vote for who you think wins. Is it Jed or is it AK? Or maybe Casey wants to step in and pick the winner. How are we doing on the voting, Casey? What are we doing here? We're just off the rails here.
I had
We
a lot
also
of things
got some
going on, so I just put the
super
poll
chats
up.
we need to get to, Casey.
So, well,
All right.
well, everyone votes.
All right, I'll
right
waste
now.
time. I'll waste
Yeah.
time.
Oh,
I guess.
wait,
Don't-
no,
don't
wait, waste.
time. We've got super chats to burn through.
Yeah,
while
yeah.
everyone
Before you
votes.
waste
yeah,
time,
let's
yeah,
run through
yeah,
some
we got some
chats.
super
Yes.
chats. Yeah, so everyone vote, but we're gonna answer some super chats right now.
Okay. Melissa, for the host, 24.2 is going to be announced in a couple of hours of this week's crazy amount of fight coverage. When do you plan to take on 24.2? I'm going
Is
to
this a
drop
CrossFit
in.
thing?
Yes.
This is a CrossFit thing, right? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's open workout. 24.1 was last week, and it was a doozy. 24.2, obviously, we don't know what it is. They announce it. For those who don't do CrossFit, regular weeks, you know every day what the workout is going to be. When you do open weeks, there's 3 open workouts, and you don't know what it is until the day before. So you have to you can't really prepare yourself the way you would throughout the week. I have no idea what this is going to be. I'm going to have to drop in to a gym near where I'm staying in New York to do it. And the funniest part about this is we have a competition within our gym where you have to log stuff in, you have to post your workout, you have to show up to the gym and do your workout. And there's themes on these Fridays. Like last week it was red versus blue. This week it's Rich Froning, which Melissa will know who it is. That is not the team I'm on. The other team is we have to dress like Richard Simmons. So in order for me to actually get a point for not arriving at my gym, I have to drop into a stranger gym dressed like Richard Simmons to do the open workout. And you know what? Challenge accepted. I am ready. I am going to dress like Richard Simmons and do this workout in front of a bunch of strangers in New York City. So how about that?
Is Rich Froning the dude that did the documentary on the fittest person on earth or whatever?
Yeah, he is
I watched I watched a CrossFit documentary about the greatest CrossFitter of all time, and that feels like that might have been his name.
Yep. So I will do it tomorrow morning. It's either gonna be at 5 a.m. or 7 a.m. It depends on what's available when I actually land. But thank you, Matija. Can UFC 299 match Joshua versus Francis pay-per-view buys? It's gonna smash Joshua versus Francis, is it not?
No,
Yeah.
not at all.
Oh, no?
You think Joshua
no.
Francis is going to do better than 299?
Do you guys know the pay-per-view buys that Anthony Joshua pulls? He basically does $1 million every time out.
Really?
Because I saw this one come up and I was like, I don't think so, but maybe I'm mistaken. And then I pulled it up, and this is per wiki, so you could take this with grains of salt. But Usyk Joshua was 1.2. The 1.2 for both of them basically. Against Pulev, he did 850. UFC 299 is not doing 800,000. If Pulev got it, I got to think this is at least breaking that. The Ruiz rematch was 1.5. Joshua's a really big star in the UK, and they sell them pay-per-views in the UK on Sky Sports instead of just doing the UFC thing where you get it for free. I don't think this is beating it box office.
Interesting. Because, Ariel basically threw this out there, and there were other reports as well. The Fury and Ngannou fight did under 100,000. I'm not saying this is exactly the same, but that one did bad.
Is that in America only?
In America, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
if we're doing America, then yes, the UFC will beat the America. But Sky Sports is, I'm assuming, selling this on pay-per-view because why wouldn't they? They've done that with all of Anthony Joshua's fights. And it's also, if you look at Fury's track record, he is a substantially less marketable pay-per-view commodity than Anthony Joshua has been.
This is a weird one.
Before Andy Ruiz happened, Anthony Joshua was supposed to be the first $1 billion boxer. He's deeply popular and a pay-per-view draw. I think that this will do quite well for them.
Okay.
Yep.
But I wouldn't bet my life on it. This is a lot of speculation.
Yeah, and I think a lot of discussion anytime they hold these events in Riyadh and Saudi Arabia is like is it's not a major concern for them to make a profit. There's like a prestige to just being the guys to do this, right? There's political reasons, there's social reasons for them to
Tourism.
tourism, yeah. So if they just people talking about it. So if they happen to make bank on this, obviously they'll be over the moon. But they could operate at a loss, and they don't particularly care. It's not really about that.
Yeah. All right. 2 more before we go to the votes.
What do you like? We'll never get the number, but what do you think 299 would do on pay-per-view? Over 5?
Yeah,
I think over 5. Yeah,
I think it does.
over
I'm
5.
gonna say like 6. I'm gonna say it does like 600,000. It's a big card. A lot of big names. Poirier being on this card really elevates.
Poirier is a big boost because I think that is also part of it. Like hearing Aljo talk about his expectation versus reality of Sean O'Malley, the pay-per-view draw, kind of confirmed my priors. And like, I know Sean O'Malley's popular. I'm not sure if his audience is popular pay-per-view wise. Mm-hmm. And I kind of think that some of that's still true.
Yeah, that was a really tough time for that card to happen too, because you had 2 July pay-per-views. You had Nate Diaz, Jake Paul like a week and a half before that. And then 292. And then Izzy was fighting at 293. Like,
that's true.
It was a lot. It was a weird time for it. It really was.
Which we still got
for sure. If Jan loses his 4th in a row, is this a historic fall?
Yeah. If anything, just because of the circumstances, like it is just nothing will match. It'll be 4 straight and 5 of 6. Just like nothing will match how it started. You know, the illegal knee, and to think that. If he hadn't thrown that strike, very likely goes on to win a decision, or maybe finishes Aljo in the 5th. I don't know, but very likely goes on to win a decision. Looks great in the Corey Sandhagen fight, but man, it's just so weird to think what a weird direction to send the bantamweight division in, a division that we all love, but I think we would all agree that not necessarily everyone who's deserved a title shot has gotten it. We haven't necessarily gotten all the matchups we wanted at 135. I think we still will in the future, but that one illegal strike just changed things so much, and especially for him, because it's just different circumstances if he's still the champion, who he's fighting, probably just his whole life. His life is different, right? So I don't know. You could argue maybe he still loses a fight to O'Malley, maybe he still loses I've definitely argued that he would have lost a fight to Merab, but maybe he doesn't even have to fight Merab if he's a champion, right? Maybe it's other stuff. You know, we haven't seen Merab get a title shot yet, so maybe Peter Yan doesn't have to fight him. So it is definitely historic. Again, it kind of already is, regardless of what happens on Saturday. But yeah, that puts the capper on it for sure.
Yep, AK got the right answer. It's already historic, so it doesn't matter. But it would be even more.
Oh, this is all you, Jed.
Cool. Jed explained Adam Webb to me in UFC terms.
It's so bad, guys.
The color just drained from Jed's face. This traumatic experience. It's all rushing back to him.
I really enjoy watching bad movies in theaters. It's a thing that I do fairly frequently, just because, like, you hear that things are bad, but I want to experience that. It's like, hey, this smells bad. You want to whiff? Like, yeah, I want to know for myself. In UFC 299 terms, I truly don't think that I don't know what even the Joanne Wood fight is better than this. Like, I couldn't be like, it's like if Joanne Wood was fighting the entire time, but no, that's still better. Like, it's worse than Argyle, which is one of the worst movies I've seen in some time. So, enjoy it. If you like me, like to watch bad things and laugh at them, there's a lot of ground ripe for it. I'm not kidding. The villain in it, I honestly believe, gives the worst performance I've ever seen in cinema. He is so bad. It is appalling that they allowed this to come out.
There you go.
All right, and the very last super chat.
Hi, Jed. Why aren't you answering my call?
I'm not getting your call. I'm super hope you don't have my number. Actually, it doesn't matter if you do, because I don't answer phone calls from people I do not know, and I largely block them. So I'm assuming I blocked you if you somehow got my phone number, under the assumption that you are a telemarketer. And I've seen The Beekeeper, so I will not fall prey to your scams.
Oh,
The Beekeeper, great film.
great film. I was gonna
Gotta
say
The actual best movie of 2024 thus far.
Is it too early for it to be eligible for the Oscars that happened in like a few days? Is it? It's they can slip it in there, right?
The Oscars don't appreciate that level of cinema. You'll notice the John Wicks were never nominated for Oscars either.
True.
But The Beekeeper, I've seen Anatomy of the Fall. I watched The Zone of Interest. They are both harrowing. Well, not Anatomy of the Fall. Zone of Interest is a harrowing, like really well-made film or whatever. It's getting an Oscar nomination. I might think of it occasionally. I'll never watch it again. Neither will most people. I guarantee you I'm going to see The Beekeeper 100 times because it's going to come on TNT at like 2 in the afternoon. And I'm like, hell yeah, I'll watch Jason Statham set fire to people with gasoline. I'm in. So who's really making the better movie? That's what I ask you.
what a question it is. I have another question, Casey. Who won? Did Jed or AK
I
win?
forgot we still have a winner.
Oh, we have a winner. Your winner today with 68% of the votes. It was a blowout, guys. It was a blowout. Is of course Jed Meshew.
Hey.
Come on.
My impassioned defense of Bloody Elbow. The viewers
That's what it
know
was.
good
That's what it
quality
was.
journalism,
Yeah.
and they supported it. R.I.P. Bloody Elbow. Thank you for getting me into MMA fighting. If you guys have an issue with Bloody Elbow, you just know they gave you me. So many of you will probably hate them more, but I love them forever, and I hate the new ownership already. So let's have fun this weekend, guys. I don't know.
I also kind of came from Bloody Elbow fan post, baby. Bloody Elbow fan post. So, RIP Bloody Elbow, man. Great site. Whatever the new Bloody Elbow is, I don't know. But the people support the writers from that from Bloody Elbow. All right, Tim Bissell, Steppy Haynes. I know I'm forgetting people. Anton Tabuena, Zane Simon. A lot of great writers. They're going to go on. Hopefully, do other great things. And it might not be with Bloody Elbow. It might not be with the new rebranded site, the Remnants of Bloody Elbow. So look up where these writers are going, and Kareem Zidane, of course. So follow their work, please.
There you go.
I
Tough
saw
weekend.
Lazy Bed post bruised knee should be the reconstituted Bloody Elbow, and I'm for that.
Bruised D. That's great. That's great. All right, hit the music. We are done. So much going on. And we got to get the hell out of here. So thank you for watching. We'll be back next week to react to all of this friggin' chaos. Ngannou, can he shock the world? Will Sean O'Malley still be the bantamweight champion? Will he fight Merab Dvalishvili? Did Dustin Poirier get back on track? We'll find out next week on the program. So for Jed, for AK, Casey on the ones and twos, the iconic voice of Esterlin takes you home. I'm Mike Beck. We'll see you tomorrow, everybody. Good night.
Love y'all!
This has been Between the Links, an MMA fighting production on the Vox Media Network.
Oh yeah.